What is up, my party people? Welcome back to another Discipline Priest guide here. So I am going to be doing an updated one. So if you guys did see my previous Voidweaver guide, I want to make an updated one because my build did change quite a bit, and I want to just talk because I'm continuing to learn so much on Voidweaver. I just wanted to get something out before the buffs came out because I know a lot of people wanted to play it. So I'm going to go over really quick. I'll try to keep it even quicker than I had last time. Any changes that I have, so my build, stats, gear, and then a quick commentary of a solo shuffle round, because this is primarily going to be geared to a solo shuffle. It's really the only bracket I'm enjoying playing this on. You can certainly play this as disc or disc in twos, but yeah, I would change it. I'll mention what I would change. It's not my favorite personally, but that doesn't matter. Okay, anyway, when it comes to gearing and stats, we are definitely going to be going for our 4-set piece. So I personally went everything but the shoulders. You can do everything but the legs if you want. They're both crit heavy, so up to you. One has mastery, one has verse. And then if you're looking at my PvP stats, I'm currently at 20 haste, 40 mastery, 30 verse. It's kind of a nice little sweet spot that I found. So mostly versatility, 23, 7k. Mastery is 15, and haste is 12. Okay. Rationale behind all this is you need verse for do damage, and the damage will convert to healing, and it's all about momentum with Discipline Priest, right? So if you can create momentum and create damage that is meaningful, the more it's meaningful as you can get it, you can snowball into continuously playing offensive, and that is how you are successful on a Voidweaver. Okay, whereas changed, so some people traditionally would think verse haste is for Voidweaver. Unfortunately, it's just not enough healing. And with the introduction of the new Trinity talent last season, I believe, you virtually don't need a lot of haste anymore. There's no point. If you play full haste versus minimal haste, 15-20% haste, versus like going like 35 haste, it's only a 0.1 second difference on the smite time with atonement with Trinity, so there really isn't a point to it. It affects GCD a little bit, affects some of your cooldown management or cooldowns of like Mind Blast and Penance, but that's why I wanted at least some haste. You could certainly play this as full verse mastery. I guarantee you can still play it, especially if you're playing, at least if you're playing Trinity, because you can kind of get away with not having all the haste or whatever. But anyway, that is the reason why we are going that, and this is kind of like a sweet spot that I found. So feel free to tinker with that as much or as little as you want. I would say if you do want to change anything, you could drop your verse a little bit, go for more mastery, and you could drop haste a little bit, go more mastery. I prefer to have a little bit more of the offensiveness on Voidweaver because, again, you need the momentum. If you play full mastery with like low verse, you're not going to do much damage. And the basically way I want to put it here is Voidweaver heals by casting. If you can't cast, you can't heal. If you can cast, it really doesn't matter if you have, you know, the 40% mastery that I had. I've also tried playing way higher mastery. It didn't feel like a big difference because I was able to, the throughput of Voidweaver when you can cast is incredible. So I felt like it didn't really matter whether if I was at like this 40% mastery or like 50+% mastery. So that's where I kind of found this sweet spot, but feel free to tinker with that with whatever you like. Just to show you guys, I do have haste verse on the neck. Both my rings are verse mastery, and my cloak I put as verse. You can switch this over to mastery, and then pretty much everything else, all these are haste verse, or this will be haste verse. Haste verse, haste verse. The weapons are mastery. And I currently have the versatility and channel there as well, but feel free to do whatever you want. I'm also playing focusing lens. Energy redistribution device does not work with atonement, and this healing is pretty much entirely atonement. So yeah, there's no point of playing redistribution. I tried it out. It was only like 2% of my healing, so I felt like at least like the damage from focusing lens, usually 3, sometimes up to like 7% damage. So it just felt more meaningful for what it was, but it really doesn't matter too much. All right, going to the build here next. For the build, there's a couple things I changed from the previous one. Let's start off with the priest side here. I did keep up with Words of the Pious. I do like it. One thing I did swap out was I was playing Vampiric Embrace. It's not that good. I mean, maybe I felt like it was doing a lot at the time, but then looking at the meters, it really isn't doing too much over time. So what I decided to change with that is just kind of go back, because we got the nice buff to Power Word Shield. Crystal Reflection has been doing a little bit better since the 20% buff to Power Word Shield. And if you are someone who does play Eternal Barrier, it does double dip with that even better. So I went over to that, and this build specifically has one flex point. So the one flex point is going to be Move with Grace here. So I typically either go Master Spell or Move with Grace. Or potentially if it's like a comp that's going me, I can go Angelic Bulwark. And if the comp is going you, what I would also recommend is even, swapping even more, like go here and then go into that, give you a little extra tankiness as well. But yeah, I personally like MC. If you don't want MC, you can maybe go for like inspiration. No, inspiration's not gonna do shit because you're never really defensively using any of that stuff. And there was a point where I did drop from darkness come light, but I went back to using it just because I was doing pretty well with maintaining my dots. Okay, from the middle section here, the Voidweaver section, that we should have a Void Leech. The pretty much don't change anything on here. We got the Rift Slow. We have the extension, so Void Blast will extend your Rift. And then Void Leech is just a good passive one. If you do want to or you remember to swap to magic lobbies to switch to this, I never remember, but that will do it as well. And then also just a couple notes here. Make sure you're always reading your talents. You have Devour Matter. So Devour Matter is really nice because it makes it so that your Shadow Word Deaths, if you use them during, so typically what you're going to use Shadow Word Death for, otherwise doing it for CC or an execute, you do want to rotationally use Death, okay? You're going to use it when your Mindbender is up, or if they have shields. It's even better if you got both up at the same time. So if they have an AMS, a Power Shield, I don't know, a Mage Barrier or something like that, when you do this, it's going to do an extra 500k damage and give you a little bit of mana in return. And if you combine that with Inescapable Torment, when you do use Shadow Word Death, it causes your Mindbender to teleport behind, do a little bit extra damage, but more importantly, extend the duration. We want to continuously extend the duration of your Shadow Fiend or Mindbender as much as you can, because you are getting a bonus 20% damage while that is active. All right, so the goal is to extend it as possible. So pretty much every time you are Mindbendering, you should be able to squeeze 2 deaths in there, and I'll show you the rotation in just a minute. All right, so that is what is going on over there. Moving over to the Disc Priest. Oh wait, no, one more thing, sorry. I want to mention is when your Rift is active, you do 20% bonus healing. And specifically, Void Infusion makes your Void Blast really a lot more effective. Void Blast is your main heal as a Voidweaver, okay? It's something that's going to be very tough to get used to if you're not used to it already. When someone's in danger, I feel like most people, especially if you're playing Oracle, your brain is going to go to, all right, I need a spam flash heal, I need a Radiance, I need a shield, I need to penance my target. I can't penance offensively anymore. No, what you need to do is do whatever you can, and I'll give you some tips on it, is whatever you do to get Mind Blast out, and then cast Void Blast. That is your biggest heal. As you'll see some of the games, when you can hit a Mind Blast penance into Void Blast and you benefit from Wheel and Woe, that Void Blast will do probably 30 to 40% of your health bar to your entire team. Like, it's crazy, that first Void Blast, how powerful that thing is. So that is your main heal, so that's what we want to make sure we are aware of. And if we're talking about Collapsing Void, your Rip Penance hits as well as your Void Blast hits, thanks to the 4-set, are going to be growing your Rift, okay? And as your Rift grows, you're going to do more damage. The Rift itself does more damage and increases in size, and then when it explodes, it's going to do more as well. So we want to make sure we are getting as much off it as possible, and that's going to come into play here in my talent tree over here. So when it comes to this talent tree, there are some stuff I have been tweaking, but I will let you know when I've been tweaking. But I actually went back into Radiance, but not in the way you might think, okay? The big deterrent for me for Radiance was you have to take Ultimate Radiance, right? But you don't, okay? Especially as Voidweaver, you actually don't need to take it. And I'm actually having a really good time. This is kind of like a pull off of the Mythic Plus build, essentially. I mean, it's funny, I was looking at Mythic Plus guides after I made this build. I'm like, it's the same shit. They're doing the same thing, so I must be doing something right. So I'm playing Shortcast Radiance. So Radiance is typically, I mean, what is it, like 1.2? So it's still very fast to cast. All right, so you're still gonna be casting very fast. Couple reasons I took it. The first reason is that if you pair that with Harsh Discipline, you get more penance charges. I was initially against this because penance doesn't do a lot of damage, but now with how big these rifts are getting, the more penance ticks are gonna make the rift even bigger, and it's feeling really good. It feels like the rift is growing a lot more. I mean, you're potentially getting up to 4 more ticks of enlargement, and I think it grows 10% every time you hit it with a penance bolt, so it's an extra 20% on your rift. So that is number 1, so it's really nice with that. The penance is great, but again, it's more from the rift perspective. But secondly, it's actually really nice because it's a radiant school. If you should know this already if you are playing Disc Priest, but so it's not holy, not shadow, so I could The way I've been liking to use it is that if I get kicked on Mind Blast, I might, let's say I'm getting trained by double melee, right? I try to cast Mind Blast first, that's my most important thing. I get kicked on that, I can cast Flash Shield, I get kicked on that, I can still cast Radiance, okay? And I can still cast Radiance and then go right back to casting Mind Blast. It's been able to fill gaps where I feel like I wasn't casting anything because it's on a different school. And there's also a lot of times where in between your Mind Blast goes, because all of your damage is ramped in those Mind Blast goes because of how much more atonement healing you do. And if you in between those goes, it's been nice to actually just stack Radiance just for a little bit extra healing. It really doesn't do meaningful healing. I mean, it's very low on my meters. Yeah, like 4%, but it's been pretty impactful in terms of being able to get my more penances, so grow my rift, help me out when I don't have anything else to cast because I got kicked. But third, the most important reason I would say is applying Trinity. See, when I was playing the previous build in the other video, the biggest problem I had was getting up atonement after I got in like a trap or something like that and I had to reapply all my atonements. It took 3 globals because for whatever reason, Binding Heal does not work with Trinity. I wish it did. This typically you would press this on one, you heal your teammate, and it would apply atonement to both of you, and it would save a global, which would be really nice. But it doesn't work that way for whatever reason. So it's a pain in the butt to try to reapply your atonement. So I've actually been using Radiance for that, and it's been phenomenal because it go to that extra 10 seconds on top of the atonement, so you're able to keep those atonements up for a very long time, and then you combine that with Divine Procession, which you're going to be speed casting Void Blast. And if you are able to free cast and you're not getting CC'd, you will never have to use Power Word Shield and reapply those because you are just going to be spamming Void Blast all freaking day. All right, so that is where I did change into Radiance. The one talent I'm still not completely sold on is this last point here. I did very much like Painful Punishment. I felt like the uptime of my Shadow or Pain was way higher and the damage of it was way higher. But I mean, the idea of 5% more healing on Atonement from Shadow spells just seems too good. So right now I'm sticking it here, but I don't know, I'm still up in the air depending on what it is. I have been getting better with just swapping out who I'm penancing, which I'll show you in just a minute, to get around not using that talent. And yeah, that's a bit on here. So that's that tree. PvP talents, just like I talked about in the last video, we got Trinity is this again, solo shuffle. 2s obviously you don't play Trinity. Inner Light and Shadow, always Inner Shadow for the extra atonement healing, and then Phase Shift. If there is any game that you might not need Phase Shift for, like let's say sometimes double melee, and then you're sitting in the back and sometimes you know you're not getting attacked, or you just realize halfway through the lobby that no one's ever CCing you or attacking you, you could swap over to Dark Arc. That's what I would recommend. But typically this is what I'm going with at all times. All right, okie doke. So that is it for the build. If you do, okay, I'll just quick alternative. If you do want to use this in 2s, what I typically do in 2s is I drop Radiance because I don't feel like there's a need for it, especially because there's only 2 targets. And you can just easily swap to Binding Heals, and it's a lot easier to apply your atonements. And I would go down the route of Expiation. Expiation does a lot of damage. It's usually like 6-7% of my damage, and you combine that with Painful Punishment, it does a lot because you're able to keep up your dots a lot longer. And then when you break them down with Expiation, so that's the only change I would make in my 2s build personally with Voidweaver, just so y'all know. Excuse me. Oh, also this is obviously a flex point as well. You can do magic damage or melee damage depending on whatever you're facing. Keep this baseline before I forget. All right, so let's talk into how do you play this build, okay? The general rotation. So your basic ramp that you're gonna be doing all the time, every single time it's on cooldown. So obviously first priority is gonna be applying your atonements. So I get my atonements up on my targets. I'm gonna dot one target. Every opener, you're gonna mind your PI and ally, Mind Bender, Mind Blast, Penance, Void Blast. I used to throw in 1 death there, and then back to spamming the Void Blast. Okay, you spam Void Blast until you have Penance up again, and you should be able to get another death in here as well. Okay, I got another death in. I actually, ooh, if I did that perfectly, I probably would have squeezed in another Penance as well. Yeah, so that is the general rotation, and that's what you're going to be wanting to try to maintain at all times, okay? And do not worry about overhealing. You're going to overheal a lot, especially in solo shuffle, where sometimes you never know how fast the damage is going to come in. So you're just doing that every 30 seconds. Same thing, Mind Blast. Oh, let me get my Radiance up. And not have a... I do, okay. My Death in there, and then just continue to Void Blast. And then, like I said, in between some of those goes, what you need to do is just continue to cast as much as you can. You can reapply some dots if you need to throw in a shield. Oh, and then on the note of shield, Words of the Pious. I just downloaded a weak aura. If you just type in Words of the Pious weak aura on Google, you'll find this one right there. The only time I shield, well, there are times I might shield, but typically, for the most part, I'm only shielding when I don't have Words of the Pious up, okay? So I want to make sure that I always have that buff up when I'm going for my Void Blast spams, okay? Excuse me, because you're getting 10% bonus damage on that, which is obviously healing on top of that. And I mean, that's honestly the gist of it. So that is what you're just doing on repeat. Mind Blast into Penance, into Void Blast spam. Death, when you have Mindbender up, you want to be deathing in between. Those goes just to get the extra extension on your Mindbender, okay? Alright, oh, actually, yeah, even another note. I think with the Radiance, too, if we're talking about Radiance stacks from Harsh Discipline, when you do get the extra Penance, I think does it extend it? No, it doesn't. Okay. I was curious if it didn't extend it even more. But the finesse of this, okay? So the rotation itself is very easy, okay? The finesse of this class and why it is so difficult to play and shuffle is two things. One is positioning, and two is getting used to continuously casting, okay? So it's a really tough mindset to get into, where you need to just continuously cast no matter what. Okay, that is the perfect rotation that I showed you, but as I've learned and how I've been improving on Voidweaver is that is not always going to happen, okay? You're not always going to have the global to press Shadow or Pain. You're not always going to have the global to press Mindbender. The priority is always Mind Blast, okay? That is always your priority. Do whatever you can. So sometimes if you're getting trained, maybe you might want to cast Flash Shield, or what my favorite thing to do is actually fake cast with Old Independence, because everybody loves kicking that button. That's a really big, scary button or a really good cooldown. So anytime they see that, they want to insta kick it, okay? So sometimes throwing that out, know that they're going to kick you on it, and then be continuously cast. So you'll see in some of my games, if you do watch me, I'm continuously casting, and the gap between my different spells is very minimal. If I get kicked on Shadow, I go to Radiance. I might go to Flash Shield, maybe throw a dot back up, throw a Penance out. Okay, going back to smiting. Say I get kicked, I can cast a Mindbender, I can cast a Death, I can cast Penance. Okay, and then I have my Mindbender back up, and just trying to minimize the downtime between your abilities. That is the skill gap in playing this Voidweaver, as you're going to see. And then number two is positioning. As you're going to see in this game I'm going to show you in just a moment, the positioning is the number one most important thing, okay? You need to be able to cast. If you are in the open, you are getting CC'd, you're going to fall behind so freaking fast, okay? You need to prioritize your positioning. You have an extra 5-yard range, or 15, is it 5-yard range? 6-yard range. You have extra 6-yard range than any other class in the game. You need to utilize that the best you can. So you're always staying like, I can hit it from this far away. Like, that is insane. So trying to stay max range as much as you can. Like, maybe I'll throw a Penance, dip back out, come back in, go for more hits. Okay, they look like they're pushing towards me. Let me push over here. Sometimes, let's say this is the enemy evoker coming for a sleepwalk. I'm gonna dip around the other side, hit this thing over here. And then another little tip on top of that is you can hit anything. You gotta hit anything. It does not matter what you're attacking. As long as your atonements are up, does not matter what you hit. So if I have atonements on these guys, get those atonements up here. Okay, as long as my atonements are up, it does not matter what I'm hitting. I can hit a totem, an earthen wall totem. I can hit a pet. As long as you're hitting something, it's actually sometimes better to do that because you can cast uninterrupted. A lot of times people will, maybe like a lock might have a pet on you. Just go behind the pillar, get up your atonements first, go behind a pillar and just spam cast on that pet all game. All right, you don't never have to come. You can literally 100% maintain your teammates' health because of the atonement extensions off of Divine Procession. By simply just hitting a pet behind a pillar, and you can heal them by never going in line of sight. It's kind of insane that if you can try to find ways to utilize that and just utilize that tech of just hitting whatever you possibly can. All right, so those are my big tips so far on terms of the gameplay, but let's get into a commentary of a solo shuffle round. This isn't a perfect round, I just kind of pick one on here. So this was the lobby double hunter versus looks like rogue mage druid. Mind you, this is my undergeared this priest. I didn't even have the 4 set in this one on this guy. So my healing's a little bit lackluster. Okay, they open up here where I had to make sure we have atonements up. Bad position here on my end. I think he might have been in stealth, so I forgive myself. Okay, going for Radiance, and I get kicked here. So I get exactly what I was saying. I get kicked on Radiance. I already know what I'm going to cast next. So this is just something that will come with time. So I'm already casting Mind Blast as fast as I can. Going to the Penance, spread those dots. I'm probably going to get CC'd. Okay, so in terms of positioning, another reason I like this game is this is bad positioning. And you're going to see I'm going to rotate to have much better positioning shortly. But this is bad. Okay, when you're getting disrupted and you're not void blasting every single second of the game, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing on Voidweaver, okay? So I re-radiance again. I want to keep up the momentum here. I ended up trinketing that blind, going for more damage. Throw it into death on that as well, and then continues to cast smite. Okay, so this is where I finally fix my shit and I find better positioning. You always want to position in a place that nobody can, or the least amount of people can bother you. Okay, so I'm going to rotate over to this tomb here, or whatever pillar over here. Went out of the line of sight of the mage. I think he goes for something. I fear him, right? I fear him. He trinkets it. Look at my guy rooted. So unfortunately, this guy's really, really far. So all I gotta do is get that atonement on him. So I was gonna go MD, but then I went to fake cast. That was gonna hit me. I went for radiance. I thought it was gonna reach this hunter. It doesn't reach him, so I gotta poke over there, get a shield. But now I want to retreat, especially you see the mage coming up. I gotta retreat back to the pillar. Okay, I'm gonna use a penance there and then just poke. Okay, this is great. The mage is out of line of sight. He can't kick me. I'm just be able to spam cast on this thing as much as I can. So Mindbender, Void Blast, and just spamming those smites away. Go for a dispel on him, and again just spamming another penance. Okay, domed that. Also, no quick tip, you can radiance through bomb. You just radiance yourself and it will heal the person in bomb as long as they're within the 40-yard range or whatever it is. Okay, the ice wall here, I was going to reposition. So notice how my instinct is to run this way. I could have easily ran this way and then hit the druid right there, but I noticed his atonement was falling off and he was running the other way, so I had to kind of book it back the other way. Okay, he uses his wall. Finally get back in his line. I'm going to use that radiance. Unfortunately it doesn't hit, but my rotation is not going to be perfect at all times. Okay, this is something I'm learning and it's how I'm getting better at the spec. I wasn't able to get all three of us atonement with that radiance. Did I sit there and waste another global on getting atonement on myself? No, I still casted Mind Blast, get the rift out first, then take the time to go reapply your atonement. Okay, I go for another penance. Now I'm going to reapply that atonement. Again, I'm still even a little bit far from here. You want to be like literally on the edge of every single pillar. Okay, hitting whatever. I didn't mean to hit druid there, but going back to spamming. Shield to reapply the pious, and then again, look at this positioning. I'm in a place that nobody can touch me except for the rogue, and the rogue was just going to step me. That's all he can do. So just spamming here smites. These are the ideal textbook situation you want to be saying. Okay, I'm gonna reapply radiance just to get the atonements going. Mind blast. And then notice this is just with a big mind blast, a big void blast, right? How these void blasts can just chunk his healing back up. This guy's going from keeping an eye out for a potential poly. I fade. Good, I got his little thing as well. Probably like a gouge or something there as well. Okay, and then he pulls back and the hunter ends up dying there. But I thought that was a good example of how I had bad positioning in the beginning, and then I switched to having better positioning, and then I also had an imperfect rotation as well. One last tip I do want to give you is actually getting trained. Okay, this was a game where this guy really wanted to go me. Okay, so this warrior really wanted to go me in this game. So what I did differently, and this was actually without playing mastery. This was before I swapped this guy's gear to mastery. So you can still do this even without mastery, right? So I end up PS in the opener. They're bursting on me. What I'm doing here is not going to panic. Okay, I'm going to try to force cast something to get kicked on. Ideally not Mind Blast, because we want to get off Mind Blast. So I'm going to cast, I think, a Radiance first, I imagine. I PI myself. A Shield, Mindbender. I just went for the Mind Blast. I guess it was quick. Okay, Dark Reprimand. I get kicked. I'm going to go Flash Heal. I'm going to Radiance. Go back to Void Blasting and just spamming Void. Look how my health's going up, okay? I'm not scared. I'm just spam casting. Don't panic and don't try to kite. Just do what you need to do, man. Just keep spamming, okay? This is a general caster tip that sometimes kiting is not useful because these classes have so much mobility. You're not getting away. You're just wasting time. Stand still and just cast your way out of the troubles, all right? So I got kicked on that spell. I can just cast Radiance. Okay, back to Mind Blast. So not being scared that this guy's on me. Okay, you got to play exactly the same way. I get his stunned. I just want to keep the momentum. Probably didn't really need to trigger that one, to be honest. Going back to Void Blasting. Go for a Radiance. I was hoping to get kicked on that one before I cast my Dark Reprimand, but I just went for it anyway. These guys were not really kicking too well. It looks like the other team. This mage is definitely going to be kicking me a lot more. I get kicked on Holy, so this was bad on my end. I'm still spamming Penance, which is not a good... I should have been instantly going for that Mind Blast. Got kicked on both schools. This is again a mistake on my end. I should have been casting Radiance a little bit quicker there. Going back to Mind Blast. Spam those shields. I went for Ultimate Penance there. They had no kicks up, but maybe I'll recover. Okay, not panicking, sitting still, and just making sure I get that Mind Blast off. That is just the most important thing to do. And yeah, so I'm gonna go back to just casting away. And again, notice how my positioning changed. I got back to the pillar. Once the warrior got off me, I got back to the pillar, and I'm hugging this pillar in and out, in and out. Okay, but I'm always, and another reason why this is important is because when you sit back like this at this max range, it's a lot easier to see what's going on, man. It's not like a clusterfuck. So I can see when this guy is casting poly and be a lot quicker on getting these polys off. Okay, so smite, Mind Blast. Okay, this mage is pushing in, so I'm seeing he's gonna what do you call it, going for poly, so I'm poking. I believe he blinks in again, right? Nope, we got a nice go on him. If this mage pushed up, what should I do there? Do I sit here and run this way? No, you're gonna rotate around and then find something to hit on this side. So just constantly rotating when you ever find a threat of CC coming at you. A little bit far from here. Okay, so he polys me, goes for a poly, I death it. See, okay, well, that was lucky. I was actually gonna go in for a fear onto the shaman there just because the game was about to end, but ideally, if that game was still going on, going this way is not good. Exactly like how I just was talking about, but nonetheless, there it is. So staying on the offensive is the most important thing you could possibly do for these games. So that is it for Disc Priest, guys. I hope you guys got something out of this. I know I just made a video this couple days ago, but I think this video is gonna be a lot better. So appreciate it, guys. Leave any comments or questions you have below, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.